when it comes to Seth's group, like, there are so many areas that need to be improved that honestly it's quite a daunting task, because I think they need another member that's going to bring some kind of comedy, but not only that, but he's also going to take some losses and bumps. You know, you want that JD McDonough, right? You want that Carlito, you want that J&J security. You want, that person that's going to be in the group, like Sammy was for the Bloodline, that's going to, take losses or be on the verge of losing, and then someone comes and makes the save, or they even lose, and then they have to go back to the rest of the group, and the rest of the group sort of look down on that person, right? You see, that way it means that there is a weakness to this group, because this group doesn't really have a weakness at the moment. I mean, you're not going to have people beating Big Bronson Reed because we're trying to build him up. And you're not going to have people beating Bron Breakker because we're trying to build him up. And you're not going to have people beating Seth Rollins because, well, he's the main guy, right? So there's not really a weakness in the group apart from if you attack Paul Heyman, right? But this is where they need someone that, let's say you're trying to get at Seth and you want a match against Seth, right? You want to have a match with Seth. It should be that Seth's like, well, I'll tell you what, if you can beat such and such, maybe then I'll give you the match. And of course, then they have a match with such and such. They beat such and such. And then that means they've got to Seth, right? But you can't really do that by throwing Bron Breakker out there or Big Bronson Reed out there, because they're not people that can afford to take losses. But someone like an Austin Theory can, right? Someone like a Grayson Waller can. Someone like an Ethan Page can. Like, this is the kind of person that I think needs to come into this group that can bump around, take losses, have the rest of the group look down on them. But they do the grunt work, They do the dirty work that people don't really want to do. That's why they keep them around, because they are always the one that's being chucked out there. You go do that. And they go and do it. They might fail at it, but at least it means none of the others had to do it. So I feel like that is missing. And the other thing that's missing as well is that can provide some comedy. I mean, imagine if we still had like Brock or Braun Strowman around, and all of a sudden that person found out they were going to have a match with them, and they'd be like shocked. And they'd be horrified. And like you've got like Bron Breakker sort of laughing and Bronson laughing like good luck. That's the kind of humor that's missing from the group as well. Those interactions backstage, we don't see many of those. When we had Bloodline, we would quite often be in corridors, or we would be in like Roman's locker room, or we would be like somewhere backstage, and we would check in with them. You don't have that with Seth's group. We don't go, I have no idea how Bronson feels about Bron Breakker. I have no idea how Bronson feels about Heyman. I don't know how Seth feels about Bron, right? How does he feel about Bron compared to how does he feel about Bronson? Which one does he think is going to be the big breakout star? He probably wants both, but which one is he more invested in? And, could that then like cause some friction? What if he spends a bit more time with Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker starts getting a bit frustrated? All of a sudden you've got a little subplot there which you could do something with, right? And then of course you have Heyman that kind of comes in and goes, listen, what's wrong? And then like Heyman's involved. So you've got like I don't want to say it's a lack of investment, because that's not true, because they're actually on the show quite a bit, but those kind of relationships and digging into them, I think, is totally missing. I think that person to take the bumps and everything is missing. The person that can go out there and do the grunt work, like that's missing. And I don't know why we've not kind of invested a bit more into all of that stuff. It sort of feels like we've brought the group together, and then really we just sort of throw them out there a little bit, have them interfere in people's matches. This then sets up other matches, but it's really surface level stuff. We don't really get much deeper than that, I think the more that you can kind of explore those different relationships, the richer this group is going to become. So, I mean, it's all lessons really learned from Bloodline, honestly. I mean, Bloodline was so revolutionary. I mean, we did see it with the Shield back in the day as well. We would get lots of like backstage kind of little bits from those guys. So there was definitely elements that we saw with the Shields. We went quite a long period of time with not many amazing groups, to be honest. Not many amazing factions in like the 2017, 2018, 2019. We had factions, but there weren't really anything to write home about. But Bloodline, when Bloodline came along, I mean, that is such a moment, such a revolutionary moment. I mean, we really did just put the shows on the back of Bloodline for like 3-4 years. Certainly SmackDown. I mean, there really wasn't much else to SmackDown. A lot of people would say if you took Bloodline away, what else is there really? It was pretty run-of-the-mill show, really. Bloodline did a lot of the heavy lifting on that show, and digging into Jay's relationship with Sammy, Sammy's relationship with Jimmy, Heyman talking to Sammy, all of them getting excited or nervous because Roman's back next week. Roman comes back, then you've got another person to see how he interacts with everyone. Add in a few big segments like the Usi segment, Honorary Use, Trial of Sammy, all of these kind of things. And you can sort of see the template. So we've got the template. We know what we should be doing. We just haven't got anywhere near close to it when it comes to Seth's group. So I think there's a lot that needs to be done. A lot of work, a lot of things need to be tweaked, changed, and for this group to really make its mark. It is still very early, though. If this is going to be like a couple of years, like Bloodline was, then we're obviously in the introduction stage at the moment. Like we're probably still like in the bit of the book where we're talking about who the book's dedicated to. We haven't even got to chapter 1 yet, So there's still obviously a long way to go. But lots of work that can be done. Definitely.